Today's video on Old Car Garage, we're going to do a small patch repair on a hole in the floorboard of this, the 75 Nova, or also known as CloneAnova. And what we have, and I'm going to show you here in a second, we have a hole in the floor where there was a shifter before, so we're closing that hole up. We're going to be using a 110 MIG welder, so I have that down here. And this is gas fed, so it's not the flux core. I really am not into the flux core. I just don't like the weld that you get out of that. So let's go ahead and get started. So here you can see the hole that's in the floor that's left over from the floor shifter that was in here. They had the cable running through here, and then they had mounting holes a little farther back. So what I'm going to end up doing is, you can see I already outlined basically what my plan was is to cut this out and then weld another piece of metal in. Now you can do that, and this is just a scrap piece that I have, but as you can see, because this is over top of the trans tunnel, piece of metal like this is completely flat, so this is going to end up having to be bent to fit in here properly. Easy ways of doing that, and really what I wound up doing was I have another piece that I already bent to do that. As you can see, that's nice and flat, and I just laid it over top of a pipe, pushed down on it, got the shape I basically wanted. And so this is the piece I'm actually going to use. I'm going to trim a little bit of length out of it. I'm not going to worry about the lines I currently have on here. That was just me labeling what I wanted to do. I'm going to cut this to what I want, and then I'm going to retrace these lines, and then we're going to cut this out, because basically this is simply going to be butt welded in here. I really wouldn't have to be too neat with this, because it's going to be hidden underneath the carpet. No one's really going to see it from underneath, because the transmission is going to simply be in the way. I could just, if I really wanted to be lazy, I could just tack that right over top of it and call it done. But for the sake of the video, we're going to make it a little bit cleaner repair on this. So I've trimmed this down, so my next step is going to be to outline this to get where I want to cut. So I'm going to stay pretty close to what I had here before. I think that top line I am good with. So we're going to make this new top line. Now, since I had other lines on here, you can see what I'm doing is I am going beyond, so I can see when I go to cut this, any place where that line is going out, that's the correct line I'm cutting from. So that way there's no confusion when I remove this which lines I'm going to end up following. So we're cutting out that center so that we can weld this guy in. Alright, so let's get the cutting. Well, it should fit right in here. Not bad, just a little bit of trimming and we'll have that perfect. So hopefully you can see I have the magnet sitting back in here, so that'll keep this piece from dropping through. Did a little bit of trimming, and I'll also clean the edges so it'll be ready for weld. So now we're just going to test fit it, so I'm going to drop that right on top of the magnet. See how that fits in there. And I think that fits pretty darn good. Fell in a little bit at the top, but this back here is pretty flush. So what I may end up doing, I still have to clean the metal around here, but now that I got a nice fit, I'll tack this side probably first, and then I'll push up from underneath to get this set where it needs to be, and then finish tacking it around. So in the meantime, I need to get this area cleaned off, so I'm probably going to knock my magnet off here so I can get it. And I'll get to cleaning this area. I have everything cleaned up. Have my magnet in space here. Now what I wound up doing is I put my magnet right down the center, so this may teeter-totter a little bit, but I should be able to tack it on either end and then play with it to get it exactly where it needs to be. One of the other things I forgot to mention is I put a little register mark. That way I know that end was up, so when I was just test fitting at different times, I would have it right. There we go. It fits in there pretty good. So I think we are ready to tack that into place. I'm just going to keep going around just to make sure that everything is nice and flush before I weld. We want to get it tacked all the way around. As you can see, we made more progress here. I got a series of tacks all the way around. I've been doing a number of tacks, then letting it cool, and then I come back in and do a couple more tacks. So I'm going to continue to do that process until I have the whole thing filled in. Then after that, we'll grind all these welds smooth, and that'll be a finished product. So we'll just keep on working here. Now I finished welding all the way around that. Now I'm going to go ahead and start grinding and cleaning up those welds. Well, as you can see, I hit it with an angle grinder. Just going to clean it off with the small 2-inch wheel here. So clean it up with the 3-inch sanding disc just to get some of the high spots yet that were on there. And normally this is what I would do if I was prepping this to have some plastic filler to put over top of that. But in this case, we're just putting a carpet over it, so I just cleaned it up so there's no jagged edges or anything. And I don't see any light coming through there, so I think we got that one sealed up.